of President Trump's new tariffs were poised to go into effect today. But with more than 75 countries having reached out to negotiate, President Trump announced a 90-day pause on all new tariffs, except for the one on China, which he is raising to 125% after they ratcheted up tariffs on the U.S. to 84%. The president is clearly not backing down on his efforts to get the best deals for America. Well, joining me now to discuss this and more, Congressman Tracey Mann, who serves on the House Agriculture Committee and the Committee on Transportation. He represents the 1st Congressional District of Kansas. Congressman Mann, welcome to Washington Watch.
Great seeing you as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, before we jump into this on the tariffs and all things politics and policy, earlier today, you were among 171 members of Congress who were recognized with FRC Action's 100% award for scoring 100% on our scorecard. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. More than thanks for what you're doing. Having a scorecard, keeping members accountable, letting voters and folks know how people are actually voting. Are they standing for the values that make America America or not? Grateful for what you guys are doing. It's a really important voice here in this town.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm encouraged by 171 members standing firm on faith, family, and freedom.
And wish it was 435.
Well, you know, we're making progress. We're making progress.
We're
making progress. Let's talk about tariffs. You were at dinner last night. The Republicans had a dinner with the president. President's pretty firm on this. Your take?
Yeah, one of the main things he ran on and got elected to do, he ran on securing the border, shrinking the size of government, but then using tariffs to renegotiate our trade relationships with the world. The president's a negotiator through and through. We all know that. You really peel back the layers and realize we've been taken advantage of in a lot of these trade deals for decades, Tony, and finally doing something about it. And that's where we are. As the president's really signaling he's willing to negotiate if countries are also willing to lower their trade barriers as well.
Yeah, but to get to that place that we need to be, it's a little painful. It's like pulling the Band-Aid off. It hurts a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. But it also hurts, and people don't realize it also hurts when we're not able to trade our products.
Right.
When you look, I don't think we sell a single car into Germany. Tens of thousands of cars from Germany come into our country. We're not able to sell our ag products in Europe and all of the EU. Yet we use our military to defend them. We've got to open up markets to really help our country's economy in the long term.
So we really don't have free and fair trade.
Not even close. If we did, we can outcompete anybody. I represent a very large ag district, and our farmers and ranchers can outproduce anybody if the playing field is level. It's not right now, but it needs to be.
So let's talk about that. You're a farmer. You come from a family of farmers. You represent a lot of farmers. You represent half the state of Kansas, a lot of farm country. How are they responding to this news of the tariffs?
Yeah, by and large, our ag producers are patriots. And I've heard countless producers have reached out to me, contacted me saying, hey, if we need to bear the brunt, be the tip of the spear to get to a better place for the good of the country, willing to do that, which is amazing. They're patriots through and through. Yeah. In the last, first Trump administration, when commodity prices dropped, Congress stepped in and helped to make that up to ag producers. That's certainly something that's being talked about. We'll be prepared to make sure that we have our farmers' backs. The president's been very clear. First time I was in the Oval Office, first thing he mentioned to me when he found out where I was from is how much he loves farmers. We're going to make sure that we take care of our ag
They're really the backbone of the country. Yeah. Technology, you talked about how we can outproduce. Farming has become very connected to technology.
Very much so. The agriculture today, very sophisticated businesses that are operating at very technologically high levels. A lot of the equipment today, our family's farm, it's all GPS controlled. It's all semi-autonomous to maximize production so that we can produce food efficiently. And we have to remember, Tony, that we make sure that we never are in a spot we have to import our food. One of the reasons we've been the free country we are is we've always been able to feed ourselves, which we got to make sure we continue.
Every time I look at what has happened in agriculture and the increase that we've seen in production, I think back of those in the 70s who were saying, we're running out of food. We've got too much. The population, it's the population control crowd saying that we've got to reduce our population because we're going to run out of food and run out of land. Farmers, technology, all of that is, I think, a reflection of the creative nature that God has given us. That when we trust Him and we do what He's given us the opportunity to do, we see amazing things happen.
That's right. And farmers have faith because they put seeds in the ground, water. At the end of the day, only the Lord can make those seeds grow, and they all know it. I look at our great country, Tony, just geographically, and you realize the largest patch of farmland in the world is right in the middle of our country. The Mississippi River, which is the longest navigable river in the entire world, runs right through the middle of the most fertile, largest patch of farmland on the planet. God's blessed our country with ag production. We need to make sure our policies ensure that we can maximize its use.
I mean, it is critical. And I think many people, they take for granted when they go into the grocery store and they pull the bread off the shelf, there's a farm that stands behind that. I want to switch gears for just a moment. We just have about a minute and a half left. The stage is being set for a potential vote on the SAVE Act, which would require proof of identification when registering to vote. Now, the president has done some things by executive order, but Congress has to follow up and codify these things, or they could change with the next administration.
Yeah, and this is common sense. I mean, only United States citizens should be voting in our elections. Common sense. That's the law in some states, not in others. We also have to make sure that we're able to enforce the law, which is a big part of what the SAVE Act does, which is legislation I'm proud to support and vote for today.
Part of just require identification, so that you are who you say you are.
That's exactly right. You are who you say you are. And
you have to do that to get on the plane.
That's right. And it's just it's common sense. I think you have to ask yourself, if someone is against proving who you are when you vote, why is that? Because it's about as common sense as it gets.
Yeah. Tracey Mann, thanks so much for joining us today in studio. Always great to see you, and congratulations once again on being a 100% member of Congress, standing for and fighting for faith, family, and freedom.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for all that you do, Tony.